out of which about 4,000 are represented via Intergraph. We do extensively reinvest our revenues and sales into R&D, 11% in fact, and 3,300 employees are engaged in R&D on an ongoing basis. And this really shows our commitment to ongoing development and innovation within our core industries. Intergraph specifically owns about 50% of our core market, global market share. And out of the 3.2 billion of Hexagon's revenue, we represent roughly about 500 million out of Intergraph PP&M. So here really what I wanted to highlight, Intergraph has been recognized as an industry leader for 9 consecutive years by ARC Advisory Group. And again, this just shows not only our own commitment, but also industry recognition. We're very proud of this fact as well. This brings us to our core of today's, our presentation. And really, what Michael and I will walk our audience through is really the problem of aligning macro industry trends with new technologies. And, as a lot of people will probably relate, on the left-hand side, we have, 6 major industry initiatives that have been sort of, ongoing now for several years. And on your right side, you're seeing sort of a laundry list of emerging technologies that are very cool, but sometimes very hard to sort of figure out and really know how to make best use of them by applying them to proper use cases. So when we think of what Intergraph's done and what Michael's going to show you through the rest of the presentation is really the alignment of these two and us really doing our homework to present best-of-breed solutions to our customers. And the first one there is Document Centric to Data Centric workflows. If you really think about it, Smart Plant Foundation was really one of the core cornerstones of this initiative. And we're really, if you think about our businesses, we're trying to reduce redundancies and reuse information and repurpose it in the most efficient ways. So documents were very rigid and it was hard to extract that information and reuse it. When we get to a data-centric workflow and where your data is all organized in a very specific fashion, now you can basically access that information through various applications and repurpose it in an efficient way. Second, we're looking at IoT and RFID technologies. And IoT, really simply put, is a combination of sensors, networking, cloud computing, and really big data analytics. And you're going to see what we've done with Smart Plant Materials as a core and what we've done with IoT to really innovate on a very established product line. Third bullet point there we've got is convergence of construction and manufacturing. And what this really is again back to really dovetails into the first bullet point where we're trying to now really use real-world objects in our design that actually exist out there, that manufacturers are providing, and using that information, parametric models and attribute data to plug and play right into our models today. And we're seeing that sort of come to fruition through various platforms like BIM Object and so on within our portfolio. Next, we have advent of cloud and SaaS, and there are thought leaders out there that are saying that within the next 5 years, possibly on-prem applications can basically disappear. And we're seeing this accelerate in the consumer market. Really, if you think about the benefits of cloud and SaaS, I mean, I read a data point once where the telephone as a technology took something like 75 years to penetrate 50 million users. The television took something like 35 years to penetrate 50 million users. And we're all familiar with the little, game Angry Birds. Well, Angry Birds, they were able to actually get, 50 million users in 35 days. And that's really, a testament to what cloud and SaaS can do. I know our solutions are much more complex than Angry Birds, but you do have that worldwide global access and flexibility that cloud and SaaS gives you. And you're going to see examples of that through Smart Enterprise Portal today. Next, we have Restful APIs for deeper integration and greater efficiencies. And really, RESTful APIs, quite simply put, are web-based APIs. These are APIs that are, Intergraph as a company, just to share a data point, has more line by code than Microsoft. And we've taken on this initiative to convert, our APIs to a RESTful API state so we can get to a better integration from one application to another, really not only across a project, but across, various projects, and then at a higher level even to JVs. And that's really core. You'll also experience what we call Omni-Channel user experiences, which doesn't mean just access through mobile or through laptops, but you can actually go through basically any access point, and have that same user experience. And that's going to be showcased today. And then last but not least, we have strategic project intelligence with ecosystem project controls. And this is really where we've had a strategic acquisition that we've done, where we're really bridging the gap between scheduling and budgeting by giving you visibility in real time, not looking at, historical data, which is very unique. So really, Michael is going to now walk you through examples of what we've done, and all the technologies that you're about to see today are really available now. This isn't vaporware, this isn't development, this is all stuff that we're doing now to really marry, macro industry trends with new technologies. So with that said, I want to introduce Michael Buss, our Senior Vice President. Ava's already given you a brief background on him, but working with Michael directly, I feel like he's sort of been, a strategist and a visionary. It's actually brought a lot of this to fruition by keeping really the pulse of the market. So with that, I'm going to turn it over to Michael.
Yeah, thanks, Ben. Interesting. So when you go to the next, there's a lot of technology out there. Augmented reality, virtual reality, IoT, and whatever. We can do a lot, right? So we can do this and this and this. But I think that the future war is over. The time is over where we say we build something and build because we can. At the end, it comes down to the end user. We really need to find a use case that makes sense. For example, for augmented reality, what are the use cases making sense to do? And have a solution just for this, and not a solution that is overpowered with like a knife you have, and then at the end nobody will use it. I'll give you another example when you go to next, is I mentioned perhaps earlier already in my life, I like simple. My life is complicated. I'm married, I have kids, go to school, I have a job, it's complicated. And the last thing actually we want is build more complicated stuff. And at the end, simple is better. And when you now see here the different watches, sorry. You see in the middle, for example, a watch with GPS and all this, because we can, and then on the right side, a watch with a calculator. When you now go back to today, which one you would actually buy? I think everybody just I buy a watch to know the time. You would buy this one, simple, easy, clean to use. And that creates then also a value for this technology. So that perhaps technology is just behind this watch. It's always on time, the time is automatically connected to the internet, but at the end, the end user wants to have a simple user interface to experience the user value. So this is my mantra, simple is better. So when we want to go into the newest technology, I think that's one of the major keystone, making sure it's easy, an easy user experience behind it, and creates a value for the end user. There are always, I found this curve somewhere, and there are always ideas, right? There are ideas about IoT, bioships, smart dust, all this stuff coming out of universities, MITs and wherever. And then that creates a lot of excitement. So it's an excitement curve. And oh, this is cool, this is cool. But at the end, not every technology will survive. And then technology will then go down again and yeah, okay, this is really hard work. And then it's realizing real revenue, real use cases like 3D printing. I mean, 3D printing, I think started perhaps, I don't know, 10 years or 5 years ago. And now real usage were found. Real usage were found also in our industry. I saw a company printing from Smart 3D a 3D model, like we did 20 years ago manually, just printed now a 3D model. Obviously also 3D printing used a lot in medicine and kind of a deal. But also I see technology like IoT technology coming up, going through the curve. And here's a very good use case we actually did. So based on sensors, what would make sense to do? So, and there's a need of basically automatic receiving materials and making sure the materials is correct. So why not put a chip on the materials to enable automatic receivings? So you just have a device, mobile device with a reader, and then you do click, 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 received, like you have in Walmart. Why not use the same technology in our space to automate the receiving, the transfer, the inventory of process in the warehouse? And I think making this much easier, obviously connected with materials, will create a huge value for our industry. So when I was I remember a story in China. They said, yeah, not every warehouse guys are very, let's say, skilled, and they just make mistakes picking the wrong materials. Just instead of carbon steel this, another carbon steel, whatever. And then they issue wrong materials. And this issuing wrong materials to the subcontractor can create later safety issues, as you know. So it makes it more safe, the right materials will be issued, the right material will be received, and so on. So I think that's a real use case, how you can use technology today, and then brought into our Intergraph portfolio.
I couldn't agree with you more, Michael. In fact, this is a great example of really, showcasing innovation. I mean, Smart Plant Materials as an established enterprise product, 16 years in the market now with almost 410 enterprise level users globally. And how do you really innovate on an established product like that? And this is a great example of how Intergraph's actually done that. So.
But I don't want to stop there, really. And then I was thinking, okay, when we are at the job site and want to receive materials, then the material is already there. But what about basically put the whole material supply chain to the screen that you know anytime this material is now in the container, this material is still at the manufacturer, this material. What about if there would be satellites and connected to these different GPS RFID sensors, so you always know where your important equipment item is? And so we were talked with InCirc about how we can actually go to the next level of seeing where equipment, where materials might be in the world. So kind of a slogan, I was joking when I was talking with them, like, no more dark spots for your materials. So you know exactly where it is, and this technology is available. So having GPS RFID connected to satellite services or cell phone services or Wi-Fi, and you are in the home screen, and then you see where your material is immediately on the GPS map. So very cool. So when you go to next. So one of the sensors we just said was, let's say RFID. But now what about bringing information to the end users? Instead of actually going into a computer system, log in and da-da-da-da, what about bringing this information directly, literally to your eye? And there are several discussions in the moment happening in the industry, as you might know, is with DAQRI helmet. So there's a specific helmet you can wear at the construction site, for example, for inspection purposes or for maintenance services at the plant, and brings information you have in the project information management system literally to your eye based on this specific valve, this specific tag. Or when you are in an early process of 3D design, do 3D reviews via HoloLens. So HoloLens is kind of a virtual reality platform that you can really see the 3D model, I mean, virtually in front of you. So let me show you how it can look like. I mean, that's I was wearing this HoloLens myself, and it's just cool. I mean, it's just you think basically you are in the plant. So you have this 3D HoloLens, the HoloLens connected to our Smart 3D model, and then it appears in front of you. And then you can say scale up, scale down, go to right, go to left. Then also can say show me the properties, and then the drawing or the properties will come up in front of you. You can also just rotate the model in front of you. And I didn't realize actually when you scale up the model, it can go to real size scenario. So you have the plant in the real size in front of you. So you see the pipe, 1 yard or 1 meter pipe in front of you, and it's a 1 meter. So you can check virtually if you can reach the valve, if the stairs are wide enough, if there's any issues. So pretty cool. And I think there are use cases for HoloLens, and in terms of 3D review, and does it make sense, and can I walk through it, and all this. So pretty cool.
So this basically just takes, Smart 3D to the next level. I mean, we're basically now, doing walkthroughs, in actual, real world, real sizes as far as, what that model would look like in the real world, and that's absolutely amazing in my view.
All right. And we are working together with Microsoft, and doing stuff. I mean, that's what we say. And the same for Duck Helmet. And this is perhaps more for being out there in the job site for inspection purposes, or in this case, you might see now where you see for lockout, tagout. So you see like a training, oh, now I need to shut down this valve and open this filter, yada, yada, yada. But you don't need to go really to the screen and print something. You can just see it in front of you. So you see the real world behind it overlaid with computer information. And this is what we call then augmented reality, just in front of your eyes. But that's pretty cool. So that's coming. I mean, this technology is coming and will be used in our industry. And there was also talking about augmented reality just last week, also in the shipbuilding, when they're building the different blocks and welding stuff together, making sure that when they're building together, they use also augmented reality. So it was cool when I saw that. Okay, so here another way, not just augmented reality perhaps on the helmet, just on an iPad. So there's the real world in front of you, and it just reminds me now to Pokemon Go, but kind of the same, right? So anyway, so overlay this information with maintenance. Okay, this is the specific valve, this is specific equipment. You click on it, and then you see different design specifications, design stuff going on, just to make the stuff simpler and easier. I mean, right?
Absolutely, Michael. And I think just this is a great example also of an omni-channel user experience, because you're moving from one platform to the next, and as far as the user experience is concerned, it's all transparent. You're not jumping through hoops. The technology is doing it for you. So I think, again, moving from a HoloLens or a DAQRI helmet visualization and moving that to an iPad in the field. Again, it's amazing, sort of seamless, technology that really showcases omni-channel as an example there.
Right. But now, for example, now you have realized, okay, that we did maintenance inspection of items. What about now technology? Okay, I want to now look for informations. I want to look for informations. For example, I have now my iPad, and I want to know what is my latest drawing. And then we have the news technology, our smart enterprise portal, where I said, okay, I just had an issue with a specific tag number, and you just enter a tag number, on a web platform. So on the web, on an iPad, Android, who cares? And then you see, okay, where in which PNID is it? So you found the tag number, and it goes directly to the PNID that was found, and here's a W004. So here's the PNID, and then perhaps this was a problem you found now during inspection and or maintenance, and you found the right PNID in a second. Also now saying, okay, this is a PNID, now show me the model around this. So you can go to the model and actually can now go to the same item and you just walk around, zoom around, whatever you want to do. You see the properties and all this. And then perhaps based on this, you create a change request, estimating cost in ecosys, and then do a shutdown, whatever is needed. You can also see the real world scenario. I mean, laser scan technology overlaid with 3D can actually provide you basically now the same in this way. So I think that's pretty cool. So having the project laser scan, if it's a brownfield project, connecting this with the 3D model, put the tag numbers on there, and then it's searchable informations.
Right. And again, a great example if you think about really a cloud-based technology. Now, everything that we viewed, we basically went from a 2D view to a 3D view to a point cloud data set. And this was all happening without having a single native application on my local machine. So, true cloud architecture in play here. And also, other consumer technologies that have been brought in. When we think about, consumer technologies, like for example at Amazon, when you do a search on a product and it shows you what other people have bought or what other products are available, we're using that same concept by using that unique ID, and the system now is smart enough through relational database technology to bring up all data points that are relevant to that specific ID. So again, amazing that gives you unprecedented access to your engineering information environment, which previously was very cumbersome. You'd have to jump through. Think about what we just did in that demo. Is that you would probably jump from at least 3 different applications just to sort of view and get that information.
And the end user does not care, right? I mean, the end users they don't care. They just want to consume information as easy as possible on the device they have in the moment on his hand. And I'm the same. I mean, when I'm looking for something, I have my phone in my hand, I book my flights, I have my iPad on my hand, and look for information, whatever it is. I mean, that's the new world we need to bring also to the end users in this industry here.
Absolutely.
And simple is better. I mean, everybody agrees to it. We are just tired to be complex and all this. There's no value in being complex at all. This brings us to a new discussion around ecosys. So Intergraph is not always on building their own. When we say it's easier, we just buy stuff. So we're always good in the engineering, procurement, construction, own operator space, but we felt there's a gap in costs. So knowing what the progress is of your execution, what the cost is of your execution, are we in the margins? So bringing timesheets together, bringing actual costs together, calculating earned value to see where you are and report to your boss. So we purchased Ecosys in last October, and we do have the idea bring all the different cost progress information together so it can be reported on, and call this strategic project intelligence, so that okay, there was this change order, why there was an overrun on this equipment, so that you can go from, let's say, there was a change order and an overrun, and go there to 3D model and see it. Connecting all the world between engineering, procurement, construction, now also with cost control, that we then call strategic project intelligence. And this brings us to an opportunity. So sure, I can integrate this, but there's more we can do. Let's say there are different data sources available in your company. I mean, we know there's a design database or a design environment department, their budgets, their forecasts, there's procurement, there's finance and all this, and obviously construction. And one of the ideas we have is, instead of just, let's say, report on it and create curves and charts, as you can see here, based off all the different progress that's happening, why not bring all this information back into the 3D model and then combine this with a schedule and then put this basically into 5D. So not just that you see the S-curves in engineering, you see the S-curves in procurement, you see have an S-curve for construction. Why not bring all these S-curves together and make sure it's all synchronized? Because that's the whole discussion around advanced work package planning, that all the different departments need to be synchronized. But how you are really sure it's synchronized, that you have created a plan? So there will be a plan in engineering, there will be a plan in construction in terms of early planning and procurement work packages. And we want to make sure that the plan really works. And that's my idea around 5D, bring all the different informations together to see the plan, and then later also to see the actuals coming in, are we still in plan? You know?
I think that's one of the strengths that Ecosys brings to the table is really, again, giving visibility into your projects, really bridging that gap between that schedule and budget and showing it to you in real time, where I think everything else in the market really is looking at historical data. So very, very powerful when you think about that idea in real time. Again, back to this idea of I want my information now, I want it accurate, and I want the visibility into things as they are, not what was.
So I'm thinking about a solution, don't start the video yet, I'm thinking about a solution where, would it be not cool when, let's say, a project manager assistant or somebody can just see what the issues are in my project, not just in bars and curves, just what you see here now in a 3D model. So keep it running. So this is really, I think, a great idea. So have information available that's already available. Connect this with different data sources so you can assess issues. You're not looking for stuff that's running okay. You're looking for stuff that's running late. Now you see engineering is happening. Engineering is green. Now you see engineering is happening and procurement is happening because procurement is blue. Dark blue means it's delivered. Fabrication started. So you see the whole life cycle of a project in a 3D model with different colors. And obviously there was an issue, right? So that the system shows the issue in this whole supply chain. And then but after everything is, colors are gone, that means commissioning is done and all cool, so all is in plan. So when you do advanced work package planning, that you can really assess where you are today and where you will be in the future. So when I talk about future, we want to see the issues that's happening in 2 months, not the issues today, because then it's too late to fix it. But now procurement told me that actually this vessel has a delayed delivery. So now I see it. It's red. Not just in the bars and curves, but perhaps because this vessel is delayed, I can now click on it, get immediately more information. I don't need to go to a procurement system and get more information why it was delayed. So I click on the schedule, and here I see it. Here I see the whole history in one platform. You know, I think, Ben, it's also what you meant. Regardless where you are, you can see this information, right?
Absolutely. Yep. In real time and in relevance.
Exactly. And but then you also can assess, like, because this vessel is now delayed, but we built already the other platform there. Perhaps you need now another crane or something else. But now you can react to stuff and talk about it. You know, look for engineering issues, look for construction issues, and one can be, okay, perhaps there was an overrun in construction somewhere, and there was an issue found with, now in another example, with this one, not a delay in terms of, but that's another data source. There was a cost overrun for exchanger, and you see all the change order that happened. So you click on this one, and you see more details. So my message is, I think by bringing the world together, what's happening in a project into an easy platform everybody can understand, because simple is really better, you know. And then even, why not putting then RFID and GPS information into the model, so even I can really see where this equipment now really is on the map, you know. That would be my next step.
Yep, great stuff, Michael. And basically, when you talked about the other two technologies, it sort of brings us to this slide when we think about drones. Now, I wanted to include this for our presentation for the audience because it's sort of a double-edged sword here. When we think about drones, extremely cool, extremely fun, we all would love to sort of get our hands on one and fly one around. But, the reality of the situation is that there's, many barriers right now to adoption and really getting to critical mass for using drones on a day-to-day basis. First and foremost, we have, regulations that are sort of holding us back. And stuff like, you've got to have sort of line of sight right now, where even though we have autonomous flight capabilities now as a technology, the regulation doesn't allow for it because you need an operator that can actually see the drone, in line of sight. We've also got very cumbersome, certifications required based on use case. So, that in itself, poses a problem. There's significant learning curves in learning how to really use, drones and so on. So, there are so many horror stories that we've heard where, people, get this $5,000, $2,000, $15,000 drone, and their first flight they crash it. So, the reality is that, these are some of the barriers right now that are holding back technology. But with that said, we've got our sister company, Leica Geosystems, that's developed thermal IR cameras and laser scanning, and LiDAR and multispectral sensors that can be mounted on drones. And some of the use cases that we see that do make sense right now is really, getting laser scan from and aerial imagery of where a structure or a asset would be, and then really using that to georeference it into 3D as-built models. So there's a use case that actually makes sense. And as we look at every one of those technologies that you saw on my first slide, that's the core and sort of I guess a conundrum that we're trying to solve. Don't get hung up on hardware and platforms. It's about the use cases, and that's what we really need to really define as an industry. Another one that still makes sense, if you think about bridge inspection as a use case for drones. Now, before, as you see in the slide, you had to get a couple of guys in a basket and a crane, and you're sort of moving down this bridge and visually inspecting it and trying to get information in that way. And now basically you can imagine using a drone with a top-mounted camera or even a 360-degree camera now that's available, and basically scan the entire bridge and sort of know where that stands in a very efficient way. So here's something that actually makes sense. But because of regulatory issues and such, we're not seeing it reach critical mass. Another, on the business side, the issue with most drone makers right now, I mean, DJI is a consumer manufacturer, but everyone else that's in the industrial space really haven't figured out their business model. Honestly, they can't figure out if they're really a product or a service. So we have people at Intergraph that basically are looking at these technologies, 24/7, and trying to make sense of them and applying them as they come to maturation, really. So.
Yeah, good. Another thing, I mean, we mentioned before, so construction progressing and all this, and we want to make basically also the work package execution easier. So when you're creating work packages in construction, and then you want to use them in the field, right? So we have work packages in our construction software solution, download them basically to a tablet or to a phone, so you have them handy when you need them. So you can click on these items, you see then the drawings, what you need to build, and this is then basically, it's an offline or online, So if it's offline, obviously you can execute and say, hey, this is now done, this work is done, or there's an issue, etc., etc. And then when you're online again, it will just synchronize with your server. And then you see progress happening every time somebody's synchronized. Now you see, oh, this work was done by this contractor today, and so just to make the whole process easier. So get rid of the scorecards or paperwork there. use technology that's available. And I see there a huge demand actually. Customers telling me, Michael, get this done, we want to have it. And trying this out in several places. And obviously, one specific idea we had is, sure, there will be still perhaps isometrics at the moment at the job site. So if I have an isometric, how do I can connect this to the 3D model? And we found an idea that was, I think it's very interesting. So when you go to next, basically, when you have a drawing and just print the drawing with the code, with a QR code or a barcode, in this case your QR code, and then have your device, your phone, just go through this QR code, and then we can understand, this is the drawing so-and-so, and then we show you the drawing in red now in the model, and then you can go around like, do you know the real estate when you want to buy a house? Sometimes you have a 3D view, you can walk around virtually, and here the same. So when you have a drawing and then QR code it, you can see the 3D model then on your device and see if there are any clashes or what I need to do now more in detail, instead of going back to a kiosk or whatever. So something that's working, and that might be interesting.
Thank you, Michael, for sharing that. And really, we've got a few minutes left to our webinar today, and it sort of brings us to our conclusion here. And really, what I wanted to share with the audience is that Intergraph, through 45 years of R&D and being sort of a tried and trusted partner with our customers, we've really come up with a solution we believe that's really concept all the way to decommissioning. And our products simply work. Sometimes obviously we're not perfect in everything that we do. We don't claim to be, but at the same time we stand behind our customers. The barriers that we usually face, not only as a company but as an industry, when you look at all these technologies, it's really breaking through to existing processes. Like, for example, when we talked about ecosys, you're really looking at people that are using spreadsheets today, or trying to use ERP systems for a function that really doesn't make sense, right?
The only real reason, or the only way you can, let's say, put something out there. I mean, you as a customer, you obviously have your customers, your users. It needs to be. I mean, let me say this again. It needs to be easy. It needs to be simple to implement, simple to use, and then you end users will like it. And then the change is happening, because then they see there's really a value. They save time, and it makes it quicker, decision making quicker, and then all it comes together. So Intergraph, I mean, we don't want to just put technology together because we can. And I'm getting a lot of calls from different technology providers, little technology providers. Hey, Michael, we have these features, But I always ask them, and so what, right? So what is the use case behind it for the savings? What would make sense for the end user? Just because you have something does not mean it makes sense to do. So.
Absolutely. In fact, a point I'd like to make is, in mobile, obviously we've matured here in mobile, and it continues to roll, and we're getting to Omni-Channel. But Intergraph, I remember getting some flack, basically about saying, oh, you guys are behind the curve and in mobile and so on, and that wasn't the fact at all. In fact, we came up with briefcasing technology, as an interim step on mobile, because a lot of our customers that were using the technology didn't have connectivity in the field. And we could have easily jumped to, full round tripping and so on, but that was a conscious decision made by Intergraph to say, hey, this isn't going to make sense. So we continue to use that philosophy, but as you see here, we've got a very robust solution. We're going to continue to add to our solution set. You've seen a ton of innovation today in R&D through organic development, that we've done within our own company. And Hexagon as well as Intergraph have a very, very aggressive, accretive, growth plan as well. So we're acquiring companies like Ecosys, and you'll see a lot more of that happening in the coming years to really not only address really and enhance things that may be lagging right now in the solution, but really looking at best of breed technologies that could leapfrog in us into the next sort of generation of products. So with that said, I wanted to leave some time if necessary for questions. And on behalf of Intergraph, I wanted to thank Eva and Fiatech for giving us this platform to share this with the audience today. Michael, thank you again for your time and coming into this. I know how busy you are, so appreciate that as well. And Eva, with that, I'll turn it back to you.
Well, thank you very much. I really appreciate both of you all sharing this opportunity. I think it was insightful and interesting. So the first question I would ask is, what would you suggest would be the first step that the end user should begin to evaluate to simplify their process?
I think one of the first steps would be definitely doing something with, if it's more materials focused, put RFID or put technology in it, use mobile apps for receiving materials. Perhaps get ahead of ideas around augmented reality, how this can be used in use cases for inspection purposes. If you're perhaps more on the owner side.
Okay, so on the owner side of things, to evaluate a simplification of process, begin with the apps and other localized processes to see if you can begin to simplify, reduce costs, and other ways like that?
Well, exactly. Accessware, yeah, exactly.
And Eva, again, just to add to that, technology adoption, that's why it doesn't happen it's not a blanket thing, right? It really depends on where your enterprise is and what's going to make sense for you at this point in time. So, as an industry, we're very project driven, right? So, we certainly won't be, most companies and organizations won't introduce new technologies into an existing project. They want to sort of, have it tried and tested and then look for the opportunity to apply it in a proper way. So we see a lot of that, but, when we look at technology adoption, it's first and foremost about where you are within your enterprise, and what's making sense for you, and then the use case again. It's not just, oh wow, the cool factor, this is neat, let's do it, and that's where everyone's struggling, right? And I think hopefully through our presentation today, we've shown that Intergraph is sort of taking that thought leadership and applying what should be adopted and what can be done now, and doing it for the industry.
Excellent. Yes, I agree. I think that there's been a lot of opportunities in which use case have been demonstrated throughout the partnerships that Intergraph has, whether it be with Fiatech or other organizations in which you all are able to demonstrate opportunities in which your clients can bring forward efficiencies and cost savings by the utilization of the simplification process, technologies that can be incorporated, and that is one of the most wonderful things that I think Intergraph is, and other technology solution providers that are constantly bringing forward different opportunities to demonstrate that although it's complicated to add technology to a process, it can be done, it can make things simpler. With that, I would like to end. Yes, sir.
Oh, go ahead. And it's also fun.
No.
It's actually proactive and changing. For me, it's fun. So.
Yes, I do believe it is fun. I know that the challenges are often what we focus on the most, but you're absolutely right. There was a lot of fun opportunities that can be demonstrated because you no longer are behind the curve, you're ahead. Like you mentioned, keeping it simple gives you that opportunity to look farther in the future, as was illustrated in that video. You don't have the what are you missing once it's supposed to already happen. You know what you're missing 2 months before it's supposed to happen. That is fun.
Yeah.
So I'm going to invite you all to consider coming to the Leadership Forum, which is in New Orleans, September 19th through 21st. Intergraph will be there if you all have questions you want to present to them in person. I would like to also thank you all for participating. We do have one last question that came in, and the question is, given these new high potential investments, how should your clients make a determination to increase their investment in research and development and experimentation as it relates to their projects going forward?
I mean, I would say do an ROI calculation. Sure, there will be perhaps an investment first in terms of fixed cost of whatever it is, and then calculate, okay, now in a project execution later we will save so and so much, so you get the money back after 2 years or something, and then you keep saving more. Now actually might be also a good time anyway because of a slowdown in generic. Never miss a crisis. That's also kind of mine of saying. Now it's also opportunity to do something and learn something new, for the upcoming work in the next couple of years.
And to add to what Michael's saying here, Eva, I'd even say talk to us, talk to Intergraph, and I'm not being facetious. We have a very customer-centric development philosophy, all right? So we have what we call our premier partner forums, and these are, when we go out and start, testing our ideas. I mean, working at Intergraph is awesome because I'll go to Michael and I'll go to Patrick and my other, executive team members and say, hey, look at this, it's really cool. And they'll be like, Ben, great, I love it. Now go see if a customer likes it or not. And what we want to do is encourage customers to come to us and say, hey, look, we're trying to work this out. Can you help us with us? Chances are that we've already thought about it and we can engage you at a different level. If we haven't, that's what the Premier Partner Forum's all about, is idea exchange to get really development in sync with what our customers and the market's demanding. So again, come and talk to us. That's our whole thing. It's all about our customers, and customers number one. Gerhard Salinger, our president, always has said that. Never let a customer down, and the company lives and breathes by that philosophy.
Yes, I think that that's a brilliant idea, and that is another reason why I encourage everybody who has the opportunity to come to the FIATech Leadership Forum in New Orleans. I think that that is a great forum in which not only are we interacting with and discussing the opportunities on a one-on-one basis, those individual challenges that an organization experiences within their own organizations, but those challenges that are experienced within the capital constructions on a global level. So we would love your participation and interaction, and we really appreciate Intergraph's continued involvement and support. Thank you both, Michael and Ben, for sharing your insights and information today on this recording.
Thanks for all the attendance coming today, and thanks for your time.
Absolutely.
Thank you.
Until later, see you all soon. Thank you.